Shani Rao. Mindfulness is the most talked about topic today. I understand mindfulness as being in the here and now and focusing on the task at hand. We at Infilm are planning to have a workshop on mindfulness starting mid-November. I have with me today Satya, a leadership and mindfulness coach who's going to be facilitating these sessions. Satya is a certified level 2 mindfulness coach from Unified Mindfulness in California. He also holds the distinction of being the first and only 11 in India to have this certification. Welcome, Satya, to this conversation between you and me.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here and speaking to all your viewers through you. Wonderful to be here.
Thank you. So I'll start with my first question to you. That there are so many interpretations of mindfulness. What is the one common understanding of it that you would like to share with our viewers?
Absolutely. So mindfulness has actually become a buzzword today. In simple words, if I may state it, mindfulness is all about a present moment awareness and in a very non-judgmental way. That's what mindfulness is all about. Unified mindfulness defines it in a very precise manner, where it is referred to as a set of 3 attentional skills: concentration power, sensory clarity, and equanimity, all working together at the same time. And that's one definition of mindfulness, which is very, very clear, simply because it talks about mindfulness as a skill building practice. And that's very powerful.
Okay. So what I'm understanding is that through, practicing this particular kind of mindfulness, that one is able to really hone their abilities in these 3 areas that you just spoke about. Yeah?
Absolutely. Okay. So just to build on that, Daniel Goleman says it very beautifully. He says, we are living in an age of attention deficit. There is so much of distraction around us today.
Right.
There's a study which says that 47% of our waking hours are spent in thinking about things which may not even happen in our lifetime. Right? And if only I was able to harness all the attention which I have, it is going to make me more and more productive. And that's why mindfulness.
Totally agree with that. Thank you, Satya. What is this technique of unified mindfulness all about? And how is it different from other practices or other techniques that are being talked about?
Really. So when we talk about unified mindfulness as an approach, it's only fair that I name Shinzen, who is the founder of this technique. Shinzen, with over 50 years of research and practice, has put together some of the most contemplative practices across all traditions, across Eastern and Western philosophies. And he came up with an approach which can be tested by science. And that's how I would look at defining unified mindfulness to start with. It is based on a system of very rigorous research, very clear classification, and techniques which can be used and applied by people across the spectrum. Either a person could be a complete beginner in the journey of being mindful, or one may already be having some practice. So unified mindfulness goes out to meet both of these individuals wherever they meet, and they can take their practice from them. So that's the practice of unified mindfulness. And I must add here, Ragini, that it is this uniqueness of unified mindfulness as an approach that leading institutions like Harvard and Carnegie Mellon have actually taken up this to study more in terms of the impact of mindfulness on the physiology. And that's what, according to me, makes this approach very different.
Another very common belief, Satya, is that mindfulness is looked upon as something, oh my God, that's not something I can do, or I don't have the time to practice. So what is your thinking about that?
So I have this smile on my face because I can completely relate to what you're saying, actually. And I was one of those who, before I got into this journey, looked at mindfulness as it is there in my to-do list, but maybe once I'm 60 or 70 beyond that. So that was the initial thought which I used to have. So currently where I am with my practice of mindfulness, my only thought process is, had I gotten to know about this before, and I should have taken it a long time. And the reason I'm saying that is mindfulness is about a practice which can be integrated into any activity that we may be doing. For instance, would it surprise you, Ragini, if I tell you that right now, as we are speaking, I'm actually practicing a technique of unified mindfulness.
Okay.
Yeah. So as unbelievable as it may sound to you, or to anyone who's watching this, mindfulness is, of course, there is a part of a formal sitting practice to it. But there is also an element of being able to integrate it into any task that one may be doing. So when you're walking from one room to the other, you're washing the dishes, you're watching TV, you're with your child. And all of these are activities where you can be practicing mindfulness. So if you're able to devote time, and I'm saying time as in it does not require half a day for you to be sitting. It could be as low as 10 seconds and 10 minutes to start with. Right? And that's the amount of time that you are going to be investing in yourself, with, of course, a lot of long-term benefits which are attached to it. Right? So I think this should really help dispel the myth that I don't have time for mindfulness. When I'm traveling, when I'm just walking, these are all moments where I'm idling away. And this is a very opportune time for practicing mindfulness.
There's a view that mindfulness is all about spirituality, and what is your thinking on that?
Sure. So yes, there is an element of getting spiritual there, but it's only one facet of being mindful. For me, mindfulness has really helped me bring a connect to my own self. So when I'm saying a connect, it has helped me be more aware about my own self. It has made me more compassionate about my own needs. And when one develops these qualities towards oneself, it actually spreads and radiates to the other people also. This is a larger element of how mindfulness works. The spirituality part, yes, it does aid someone who's a spiritual seeker. No disappointments there. Mindfulness helps you in just being with yourself and riding all the distractions which come up. And to that extent, mindfulness does aid in being being on the spiritual journey. And like I said, that's one element of what mindfulness can offer you. Surely.
So I think what I'm really understanding it's more about focus and attention to what one is doing in the present, or one is being in the present. Right?
Absolutely.
Okay. As a therapist, what can I look forward to from this workshop?
So, I came across this very interesting quote which said, "Healer, heal yourself." And when we talk about therapists, we talk about counselors, I think a lot of us fall in that bracket where we are constantly helping people come out of wherever they may be stuck in. Transformation journey is what we talk about. And that's a brilliant scope of work that we are engaged in. However, there are times when I also recall our conversation that we had some days before, where you said, as a therapist, I'm actually a container where I'm holding a lot of emotions, a lot of things which my client is telling me. I need to be able to somewhere empty that container as a therapist, as a counselor. I need a place where I can discharge and then come back to being with my client. I need to also be able to withstand a lot of emotions which my client is facing and sharing. So a couple of things here. As a therapist, I need to be comfortable with my own self, my own emotions in the first place. And while there are practices which therapists do follow, mindfulness can be a wonderful aid, wonderful support to this front, one. And mindfulness brings in a beautiful connect with our emotions. So rather than getting consumed by emotions, it helps in beautifully connecting with emotions. And there's a study which says that therapists and healers, counselors who practice mindfulness are actually able to be more empathetic towards their clients. And that's simply because the connection with the self is at a very heightened level. And that makes this connection with the client much more easy. And of course, in all this, coming back to being who you are. You wear that space, you wear that container, and then discharging and coming back to who you are and who you can be. So that in your healing, your client also gets an opportunity to get healed. So more than anything else, I feel this practice of mindfulness, especially for the healing community, can be a very powerful technique. So to make my long answer short, use it in addition to whatever practices you may be using. At a mind level, at a body level, somatically, whatever you may be using, you can add mindfulness as a part of it. One. Two, you can also look at being more mindful yourself while you're carrying out the session. That helps you be more effective with your client. So take your service to a couple of notches above. And this is what I believe, and there is a lot of research which actually documents this. And I believe there's a lot that healers, the therapists, can gain as a community from being more mindful.
Yeah, that's very useful. Yeah. What I'm understanding is one, of course, to really be very clued into our own emotions as therapists, and the other is the attunement with the client. Yeah? A heightened attunement with our own selves and with our clients.
Brilliant.
Through this process. Thank you. Lovely. That sounds great. So one last question, which is, what is this 8-session workshop all about?
Sure. So So there's a range of techniques, a range of practices that Unified Mindfulness as a course offers. And in these 8 weeks of journey that we are going to have, there'll be 5 powerful techniques that we're going to talk about. And 3 sessions completely devoted to integrating these techniques, these practices into one's daily life. So each technique brings about a very different flavor of mindfulness, starting from a very broad level of just observing sensory experiences. And that's a technique, it's a signature technique of Unified Mindfulness, which we'll be starting off with. Going into narrower and more narrower, coming to a very motor level of body movement. And that's the granularity to which we will be exploring each of these techniques. So these are powerful techniques which are favorites. And of course, these are ready to be used. So as simple as a plug and play kind of an approach with these techniques. So these are the 5 techniques which we'll be talking about, plus an integration of, yes, you spoke about how do I really make it more meaningful, and can we have some method to actually do that? And that's what we'll be focusing on as well. So it's going to be a combination of method and integration, and that's what the 8-week journey will be all about. In each of these sessions, it's broadly classified into parts where there'll be enough time for every participant to share, ask, and even try out the techniques. So that's the reason each session is kept for 90 minutes of duration. So there is an opportunity for everyone to share. And in addition to that, also every weekly, when the group comes together, there'll be enough opportunities for people to bring up on what's working, what's a challenge area, and some learnings that they have got. So the 8-week makes it very, very robust in a way, so to say. And of course, from a neuroscience point of view, we need those 8 weeks of time to rewire. And that's what mindfulness does in many ways. So how about practicing a rewiring through the 8 weeks? And that's what the entire journey will be on.
Lovely. That language is familiar to us, especially those of us who work with people, is the rewiring. Because I think any technique, any method that one learns, it's not only a cognitive process. Yeah, there is aspect in that, and there is the body that learns how to do it, and then there's a brain that's also rewiring, right? So all the aspects need to be integrated, and therefore we need that span of 8 sessions.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Satya. I think that was very useful, and really looking forward to the sessions.
Wonderful, Ragini. Thank you so much for having this conversation. I'm sure it helps in bringing out a lot of doubts or myths that viewers may have around mindfulness, and hopefully this helps in dispelling some of the myths and making them more curious about what our course has to offer. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you.